Hi guys, welcome to our second video of getting started with 3D Max 2023. If you want us to make more videos like this, subscribe and leave us a comment. Thank you. So let's get started. What we have here on the top, we have our main menu bars. Here we have our main toolbars. Maybe it will look some different in your 3ds Max because, for example, I made this toolbar, customize it for myself. Here on the right we have our comment panel, which again it maybe will be different in your 3D Max. For example, you will see it in like this, like one column, but I prefer to do it like this because sometimes there's a lot of options here and it will be very hard. Let me show it to you. For example, if we have this modifier here and there are a lot of options, we have to scroll down to go to all the options. Let me close them all. Close all. You can see there's a lot of options, but if I pull this on my left and open them all, look, we have them all here. But it depends on your screen resolution and your monitor. Maybe you have two monitors or one monitor. I'm using a laptop, so it's very small. Maybe if you are using a larger one, it will be different. So here, this is our main viewport. We have four views, usually like this: top, front, left, perspective. We will talk about them. And here you can select how your viewport you want to be, which layout you want, like one panel, like this, four panel, two panel, like for example like this, or like this is the standard version, which is the default one when you install it. So but if you want to like make one of them bigger, like this, make perspective bigger, you can pull it over, and you can like this. If whenever you felt like you messed up, like it was very messy, you can just right click, this is layout, and you will go to the default setting. So usually when we work on 3ds Max, we will zoom extend one of the viewport. To do that, when I'm here in, like for example, perspective or front or rear, but I want to do it in perspective, I'm gonna hit Alt W. This will be one viewport. If I want to go back again, I can hit Alt W. There's another option I have here in this icon, maximize viewport, and if I hit it again, it could go back again. If I hit in this plus icon, maximum viewport, it's the same as you can see the shortcut Alt W. Now I can hit restore viewport. So this is this. And usually when you first install 3D Max, you have another things here. For example, you have Scene Explorer here, but since since I didn't want it here, I usually don't use it a lot, so we can just make it larger. I don't know why it's here. If here it will show every like object you have on the viewport. You can like select them, hide them, delete them, or anything you want to do. But usually I don't use it. Instead, we can put our layers here. It makes more sense to just put your layers here. Let us. It's little tricky to do that. So this is our layers. So you can add like new layers. Put your object in the like new layers like this, item, or whatever you want. So for now I'm gonna close it. So let's talk about more about viewports. There we have a lot of options here. We have this plus perspective standard and this filter, which is new in 3D Max 2023. Let's go deeper on into that, into like this menu here. So let's check out the first one. If we just hit the plus, like the first one, we already talked about maximizing the viewport with Alt W. The second one is active viewport. And what does it mean? If you look at here, if you notice, there is another yellow line around the viewport, which is like bold. That means this is the active one. If, for example, you can come here and press this one, free left. Now this one, the active viewport. Each change I will make the changes, I mean, not on the object or the scene, the changes like how the scene is looking. For example, in this viewport we are seeing the wireframe. If I hit the F3, I will change that. So if I hit F3, F4, these options I will have this option. You can just go here and select your viewport, or just select it with your mouse. It is like more easy to do that. So this is for disabling the viewport. One of the most important one is show grids with the shortcut G. For example, sometimes let's say that I will import an AutoCAD like a CAD file here, like a 2D file, for example, a plan, architectural plan, but it's too messy. There's a lot of line. It distracts me. I will hit G, it goes away. Hit it again, it will come. So the place is here for this command, and the shortcut is G. So the next one is view cube. View cube is this like the cubic shape that we have here that help us to like rotate, navigate our views and this kind of stuff. And we will talk about it later when we will say, we will teach you how to zoom out, how to walk into like your viewport or your scene. And from here you can disable it, enable it, like with different settings. Steering wheel, it is something that rarely be used, but if you need it you can just enable it. There's a lot of options, zooming, panning. If you don't have like some options in your mouse, you can just like you don't have a rolling view in your mouse. Maybe you are with your laptop and you want to have the options of an actual mouse, you can use this one. So we just disable it for now, and there is also a shortcut for it if you need it. For example, if you are working with your laptop or something. So the next one is XView, which is very important. There's a lot of options here. For example, the first one is show statics. it will show you how many polygons you have, how many vertex do you have, and this kind of stuff. Sometimes if you send your like 3D Max file to like another company, or you want to sell it, you have to give them this information about your model, that how big is your scene, how many polygons you have, and this kind of stuff. So it is very handy and useful. Uh, Overall, in all of the viewport, these options that you will like enable or disable, they will be active in that viewport that you are doing it. Like for example, I will, if I hit show static, it just will show here, not here, not here, not here. This was active and it will show it here. But if you want it here, also you can hit like the shortcut 7, it will show and go. So we will just put it here in perspective. The second one also is very important thing. It is face orientation. For example, if you have, let's say, we have or the edited editable poly now. So this one. For example, if our faces are flipped, we don't know why like this shading effect, like we have this effect. Maybe if we add another like modifier, it will make it like a smooth, maybe it will go or not. But if you want to know which polygons like making this this mess, if you active your face orientation, which the faces that are green are the faces that are flipped. So let's come back to this cube and let's make some edges to make some other faces to, let's see how it's gonna work, the face orientation I mean. So if you don't select anything, you don't see it, but if you select your object, you will see the faces that are flipped. So this is very handy, maybe in like sometimes in architecture visualization it's not very important because maybe the scene is like large and you don't see this kind of stuff, but with some tips and tricks you can like you don't see it, for example. But if you are going to do modeling for like movies, games, and like or you are making 3D model to sell them in 3D markets, like flipped normals, which literally mean flipped normal. Now when the face is flipped, we say the normals are flipped. The website actually is using the same name. So this way, for now, we don't know which faces are flipped, but you select it, you know the green ones are flipped. If you deactivate, if you select, you see nothing. But if you activate, you can easily come here and like select your green ones and flip them. Now all is well. All is good. So there's a lot of things which are very useful: overlapping faces, multiple agent, isolator, many other useful things. You will need them here. So the second one is perspective. The first options we have is cameras. In order to see that, we have to make some cameras and we can work with them. So I'm quickly making some cameras. So now if we go back to the camera, we have these options. Let's go back to the for viewports. If we came here and select physical camera 1, this viewport will become our camera, and we can use we can go to the second one, or just make this the second one and make this one the first one, and maybe something like this. You can have all cameras here and here, and this should be our perspective. You can make this one okay working like viewport. We mostly will work on perspective, so this will be all working, and these are the others. Like if we want to see how this is gonna be in our renders for cameras, it's like this. And there's also a shortcut for it that you can use it. So in the future, we rarely will come from here. We will use the shortcut, which is C. Just hit C and this menu will pop up, and you can choose whatever camera you want, camera 1 or camera 2, like this. So let's see what is the second one. Lights. So we don't have lights here. So the important things are here: perspective, orthographic, top, bottom, which mean that you can change any of these viewports to another thing. For example, you can get out of perspective and go to orthographic view. And sometimes in modeling it is very useful, or you can use it in your presentations, like making some documents. We can switch between different views, and there's also some shortcuts, which is they are very useful, and again we will use the shortcut. For example, if you want to go to the top view, you can just hit T and it will go left, right. We don't have it here, and perspective is P, U is orthographic. Again, all of them, they are mentioned here. You can find them here. You can always change the hotkeys or the shortcuts, but the default ones are these are the default ones. For example, for the like right, we don't have anything. You can assign something here because when you hit R, it is assigned with the scale. So I mean the default version. If you want, you can assign something here. So another shortcut, and there's also another menu that you can use it. For example, the thing that they don't have shortcut, but again you can assign shortcut if you are like more frequently will use them, so you have to like make some shortcuts. But if you press V, you will have this menu, and you can switch menus from here and show, hide some elements like shapes, geometry, light, camera. For example, if you want to go to the right view, you can come here and just press right, and all of them are here. And this is also a cool like shortcut you can use. So let's go further. Save active viewport. What does it mean? For example, if we like this perspective from this view, okay, we want to walk through the 3D model and change something like work, edit, or anything you want. But you want to come back to this view, like, or this perspective, you can simply hit save active perspective view. Now if we change it and like work, zoom, I don't know, whatever, and then when you hit restore active viewport, it go to the same viewport that you saved it. Extended viewport, there are a lot of options that rarely be used, but if you are like I don't know which major will you continue using 3ds Max, but there's a lot of things that you can use if you need. For example, Boolean Explorer, you can make your viewport as a Boolean Explorer, and if you simply just hit P again, and yeah, this one was like, I don't know, you will change the viewport back to the perspective. So there's a lot of similar thing that can happen if you are like want to do it or you need it later. So let's go show save frame. This is very important, and the shortcut is Shift F. Let's hit Shift F. What does this do? It will show you the frame that you will be rendering, the space that we will be render, or you can say it is frame of your camera. Shift F. This area will be rendered, and it is the size of that you specify for the rendering. Let's see if we can change it. Okay, no. Custom. The reason that it wasn't like changing because the image ratio as the image aspect, there's a lock on it, because the relation between width and height so was locked. That's why we didn't see it. Now also is locked. If we change it, you can see the viewport save frame is changing. It is the same as you will specify here for rendering, so you can like make whatever thing you want. Look, let's set it to this one. So viewport clipping, this one is important thing. I need some explanation. Let's get rid of save frame for now. So if you can see, there's a two like rectangular, not rectangular, triangular shape here, two triangle shape here, and I will have to explain to you how it's gonna work. So let's say that this is your camera, or like the eye that is watching the viewport. So it will be like this, and the shape in the middle, you have some cubic shape in the middle, which is the object that you created. So but also you have something here and here, with which is because the viewport of Mac, it's like infinite, like Excel, you can go whatever you want. However, the Excel will finish somewhere, but you can't see all of them, and maybe you don't want to see all of this object. You just want to like see to certain like point. That's why there's a clipping point at the end of the camera. Now our viewport, it is somehow a camera which is watching or seeing. Now we are watching or seeing. So at the end, you will put a line and cut the scene from here, and you don't see like whatever here. You just see the inside from this from your camera to here. But again, you can make another clipping point, which is cut it from here, and if for example you have some other object here, you won't see them. You won't see this object which is before this line. Yes, your camera is far behind, but you specified that from like this point to this point. Just show me this point to this one, from the here to here. And what will happen if you like put your line clipping point here? What will happen? It will cut your object and show it like it's been sliced. So let me try to like show it to you. Not a very good drawing, but you are getting the point. So from here we are seeing inside of this shape, and it is useful. You know why? Because sometimes maybe you are like you have a room and you want to see the inside, and the space maybe is very small, but you want to see it without making sections or this kind of stuff. You want to see it in your viewport. Also this concept, this whole concept will work with cameras, not just the viewport. And there are settings in your camera that you can like modify this clipping point. So this is the first one, this is the second, this is the start, this is the end. Let me show you in 3D Max how it's gonna work. So if we maximize this one, for example, this is our first point of our object, and this is the last point, okay? And this is at this triangle is this one, this first line, okay? Let's do it here. I think this is the last one. This is the first one. Yeah, this is the first one. You can see it is cutting through the object, and this is the last one. And we also can cut it from behind. Let's see. Cutting. Yeah. This is, so let's not do that, or we can do that but with like an example. Okay, now let's start. This was our first line, and this is our last. From the end of our scene, we will cut the view. As you can see, the last object is getting out of our visible area. So let's go back to the concept that I told you that it is useful. let's say let's specify a modifier here, shell. Okay, inside. So if it was a room, you are seeing the inside of the room. Yeah, yeah, it's cool. But however, you have a lot of options. And you know why? What is the inside is black? Because it has just one face oriented to outside of the object. As if you can remember the options from face orientation, but I put it a shell and there's two face, one facing inside and one facing outside. Now it's not black, it has some color. So let's go back to default and turn off the viewport clipping. And this one is like a Control Z for viewport, because your Control Z or your undo which you have here only work well with like the changes that you made in the scene with the object, not with the viewport. But here you can make change with the viewport. So let's go forward. The next one is standard. The first one is active shade. And what is active shade? It is like real-time rendering, and each change you will make, you will see it like immediately. And let's divide or we put into two panels, and let's hit. This is now is using Arnold, and if you have this Arnold now is the default renderer of 3ds Max, but before this, like, there were a lot, and there were other renderer like Mental Ray, and after Mental Ray it was there was another thing, but usually guys like use Corona Render or V-Ray, but I don't have installed any of them here. However, now we have a real-time rendering. If you change anything, move anything, or like changing materials or whatever you do, you will see it immediately with the rendering. So let's get rid of it. And the next one is high quality. That means if you have light, shadows, materials, they will be all with high quality. Since we don't have like light and this kind of stuff, they are like showing it like default lights and environment. The second one is the standard one, which mostly we will use this one, and the shows the light and shading some standard way. The performance is when you feel that your scene is very heavy and you don't want the lighting effects and this kind of thing this kind of thing to be calculated in real time. Not like real like Unreal Engine or something like this, but you don't want to take a lot of time for your scene to be load or go around your scene, so you can use this one. Direct is when you are let me tell you another way. Softwares like rendering software either use OpenGL or DirectX, one of them. 3ds Max is DirectX, but for example Arnold Render is OpenGL. And Corona render is DirectX, but I think it is OpenGL. It should be OpenGL for Corona, but I don't know what it said. It is DirectX, and also V-Ray is OpenGL. Most of them are OpenGL. And as you can see in OpenGL here, the border is went inside and the text are inside, but here the border bumped out and the text are bumped out. The reason that they are upside down of each other, like reverse version of each other. For example, if you see this blue color from here to here in OpenGL, it's rotated and it's like it's located here. And yeah, this is it. This is the difference between DirectX and OpenGL. And if you have a material that you made in DirectX and you want to show it correctly, you can use this one. Otherwise, you always use a standard. And we have here some lighting options, some like material option. For example, enable transparency. For example, if you have like glass material and glass material, you want to enable the transparency or not. So let me check something with the material. Let me see, physical material, transparency 1. Let's assign the material and see. So now the transparency is on. We can see through the object. If we turn off the shell, you can see better. If we don't want to see transparency, we just disable it. Very easy now. So, and the other thing, like there are some other options, we will talk about some of them in here. So let's see what we have here. Default shading, which is what we are seeing. Faces. Now we don't see the smoothness of this object. Bounding box, if our scene is very like heavy, like a lot of trees, building or city, we just want to walk through and maybe want it to load faster or work faster. Flat color and hidden line. This one, it is very useful thing. It is very more common to use it. So default shading and clay, these are the two like shading effects that mostly people will use. For example, in clay you can see this like this effect, like shading effects here, and you can fix them. And the other ones are like there are some artistic things, like graphical one, like maybe if you work with the SketchUp there is something like that, maybe useful for people working, I don't know, different area of industry, maybe animation, graphical works, and this kind of stuff. So let's go back maybe to clay or default shading, wireframe overlay. So if you want to see the wireframe of the objects, you can use this, but there is an options you can see wireframe without shutting down the shading, which is goes with the shortcut F3. No, F3 will go to the shortcut for this one, but now if you want to see the edges, we hit F4. Now we are seeing the edges, and remember the color of the edges are the color that you put here. Now since we have another material assigned to this object, the faces are with the color of the material, but the edges are with the color that we assign here. For example, these four objects, they don't have material, and if I change the color black, it will become black. But for example, if I assign a new material like blue one, the lines are black as it here, and the other faces are with the color of material. And we can change this one to whatever color you want. Sometimes when you are working, you need to see the edges like more clearly, and you can do that. And however, the most common one is like this gray surface and black edges. However, in the clay, it's already the color of clay and lines are black. That's why it's very like good to work with it. So the two edge faces and wireframe. If we are in default shading or clay, we can use edge faces. This is F3, this is F4. And there are many other like options here you can use. Viewport background. Usually either it is solid color, but more commonly is gradient. If you can see, we have black here until to gray. More commonly we use this one, the gradient, but you can also use solid color, and you can use your environment background. For example, if you have a sun or and color you assign to your like environment. Let's see, you can change it. So this is your environment color. Whatever color you have in your environment, you will see in your viewport. However, as I said, the most common one is the gradient. So in viewport background, we have custom image and config viewport background. If we hit viewport image file, since we don't have any image assigned, we don't see anything. But if we come here to config viewport and we just hit this one, use a file, files, go to your directory blueprint, for example. Okay, for example, if you are modeling like you want to model this car and you want it in certain point like front view, and you can start working. But however, there are a lot of like other options for working, like with like working in this kind of stuff. But this is one of the things that maybe you can use for it. However, there are a lot of other like alternative for importing blueprints, but this is one of them. But we will keep it on gradient color. And here we have more options. And the last one, it is new in 3D Max 2023, which is, you can see it here. It is a filter, on, off, on, off. For example, let's see what we have in filter. Show renderable only. Show the things that are just visible in render, but you can customize it. You can say that I don't want to see the geometries, or I don't want to see the lights, or I don't want to see the cameras, or I don't want to see anything from this category. So for example, if we make a line circle here and we came to our filtering, all of them are off, just circle, and it is saved in our filtering, and whenever you hit this one it will be disabled, and now the filtering is enabled. It's a very cool thing, and it is very useful in large scenes that for example you put a lot of trees and this kind of stuff. Let's see, yeah, and you want to like turn off something. For example, the trees are proxies. You can turn off all the proxies and you won't see them, which it is very cool thing. Yeah, it is very cool. At the first of this video I missed something, which is presentation mode, which as you can see now it is disabled. The reason is that this is only works for the floating viewports. For example, we have a floating viewport, and we want to go to the presentation mode, and what does it do? It simply remove the borders. If you hit control space, now you have your floating viewport with the presentation mode, and you can do again, you have all the options for all the shortcut that works in the main viewport also can work in this viewport, and you can do the editing and also all the stuff that you want. And if you want to like exit this mode, you can just simply hit control space and you can go back.